If clarity is so important, why do some of the most successful leaders give vague directions? And why do crystal clear instructions sometimes produce the most disappointing results? Welcome back to Deliberate Leaders. I'm Allison Dunn, and today I'm going to challenge everything you think you know about clear communication. I was working with a marketing director who was famous for giving incredibly detailed briefs. Every project came with comprehensive specifications, exact timelines, and precise expectations. Her team never had to guess what she wanted. But something strange was happening. The work was always technically correct and completely uninspiring. Her team had stopped bringing creative ideas. They'd become order takers instead of innovators. When I dug deeper, I discovered the problem. Her clarity was killing creativity. By specifying exactly what she wanted, she was eliminating the space for her team to think, explore, and surprise her. That's when I learned the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes the best way to get great results is to be deliberately unclear. Here's the problem. We've been taught that good leaders communicate with crystal clarity, that ambiguity is the enemy of execution, that people need detailed instructions to do their best work. But clarity has a hidden cost. When you specify exactly what you want, you get exactly what you specify. Nothing more, nothing less, and definitely nothing better. Think about the best work you've ever produced. Did it come from following detailed instructions? Or did it come from understanding the goal and having the freedom to figure out how to get there? Great leaders understand that there's a difference between clarity of purpose and clarity of method. Purpose should be crystal clear. Method should sometimes be strategically ambiguous. Strategic ambiguity isn't about being confusing or lazy. It's about intentionally leaving space for creativity, innovation, and ownership. Here are 3 strategies for using strategic ambiguity effectively. Strategy 1, the outcome frame. Instead of saying, create a 10-slide presentation with our quarterly numbers, competitor analysis, and budget projections, say, help our board understand why we're positioned to win next year. This leaves much more room for creativity. Strategy 2, the constraint method. Give people clear boundaries but unclear paths. We need to increase customer retention by 15% with our current budget. How would you approach that? You've defined success and limitations, but left the solution open. Strategy 3, the discovery invitation. Instead of giving answers, ask better questions. What would it look like if we were the easiest company in our industry to work with? Let your team discover the answer rather than prescribing it. I worked with a product team that was struggling with innovation. Their CEO kept giving them detailed feature requirements, and they kept building exactly what he asked for, but none of it was breakthrough work. We introduced strategic ambiguity. Instead of specifying features, he started specifying problems. Our customers are frustrated with how long it takes to get started with our product. Make that frustration disappear. The result? Instead of building the obvious solution he would have prescribed, they created an entirely new onboarding experience that became their biggest competitive advantage. Here's what strategic ambiguity actually creates: ownership, creativity, engagement, and solutions you never would have imagined. When people have to figure things out instead of just following directions, they become invested in the outcome. They think harder, try more options, and often discover better approaches than you would have prescribed. But here's the key. Strategic ambiguity only works when 3 conditions are met. First, the stakes aren't too high for experimentation. Second, you have people capable of independent thinking. Third, you're clear about success criteria even when you're unclear about methods. Here's your challenge. Pick one project or task you typically give detailed instructions for. This week, try the outcome frame instead. Define the result you want, but leave the method open. See what your team creates when they have space to think. Remember, when you give people room to surprise you, they usually will. Stop over-specifying and start over-trusting. Stop giving answers and start asking better questions. The best leaders aren't always the clearest communicators. Sometimes they're the most strategically ambiguous ones. That's a wrap for today's episode of Deliberate Leaders. Great leaders know when to be clear and when to leave space for brilliance. Until next time, keep thinking boldly, leading deliberately, and communicating strategically.